Hey everyone, in today's video we're going to learn how to make this cute lion cake topper. So I've started off with some modelling paste and I've just coloured it with a little bit of the honey gold from Sugar Flare, and we're just going to create the body first. So roll a ball and then just flatten that off at the bottom of the table and taper that up, and this bit is going to form the body. We're going to pop a cocktail stick through the middle. And then we're going to do the legs. So a long sausage, and we're going to flatten one side, which is going to create the top of the leg, like so. And then we're going to stick that on. Now we're not going to do the paws at the same time as the leg. We're going to do those separately. So just flattening one side and then chopping them off so they're roughly the same length, like so. And then for the feet, we're going to roll some fairly large balls so that he's got quite big feet. And then we're just going to flatten those with your finger, just at one side. And then just with one of these tools, we're going to create some paws. Now I think it's called a scriber needle, and I will put a link to everything in the description box below. And then we're just going to stick that on with a little bit of water. So that's our body. Next, we're going to create the arms. So similar as before, but this time we're going to flatten the bottom of the foot against your mat. And this is just going to create us a paw that's already on. We're going to cut off at an angle at the top. And then just with the scriber needle, we're just going to create some little marks in for the paws. And you're just going to push that on to the body that you've got. If you need to go over the lines, you can do. We're just going to stick that with a little bit of water. So you can see I pushed it onto the base of the mat there just to create the paw, chopping off at an angle so that it sticks onto the body quite nicely. And then we're just going to mark in the feet like we did with the other one. Just a little bit of water to stick it on. It helps if you stick the sides of the legs to the feet down below as well. It just gives the whole model a bit more stability. So next we're going to do the head. So he's got quite a big head. So we just want to take some of the top off the neck. Gives us a little bit more cocktail stick to work with. Just smooth it all out. So for the head, we're going to roll a fairly large ball. Now check the size of this against the model that you've got. And then we're going to flatten it slightly, just ever so slightly, and then we're just going to create two eye holes halfway down the ball. And then we're going to use a ball tool just to create some more eye sockets. And then with a piece of paler yellow, so I've just coloured this with some white fondant, you're going to create sort of like a flattish circle, and this is just going to create the area for the mouthpiece. A line down the middle to separate, and then a small ball at the bottom, and that's just going to create his bottom lip, opening that up with the Dresden tool. And then we've got two balls of white fondant, and these are going to create the eyes, and we're just going to flatten that in with the ball tool. Just being careful to smooth everything out, like so. And then a smaller ball tool in the middle, and then we've got some black fondant, we're just going to pop that in the middle. So doing the same as before, just using the ball tool to flat that out and push it to where it needs to go. So you can see it's starting to take shape a little bit now. And then just some smaller white dots for the light reflection. Now these are quite small, you could paint these on if you wanted. I just find it easier to get them the same if they're just balls of fondant. A tiny little bit of water just to stick those on, and then we're just going to pop that into place with the Dresden tool. Just like that. Next we're going to put on the eyelids. So for this I've just got some black fondant. We're going to roll it out so it's a bit pointy at one side, and then just with a little bit of water we're just going to stick that on. Now I kind of felt that this one needed a little bit of a flick on the eye, so we're going to chop off at an angle, and then you can see that it's just naturally created just a tiny little bit of a flick at the side of the eye. So you're just going to make sure that you've pushed that into place, and then do exactly the same for the other eye. Just need a really tiny bit of water. If you put too much water on your brush, when you stick the black on, eventually the colour will run out of the black and it will go onto the whites of the eyes. So you really just need the tiniest amount of water on the brush for that one. And then just using your Dresden tool to push it into place. A little bit of brown fondant that we're going to just squeeze between our fingers and press down with our other finger, and that's going to create the nose. And then just some tiny little dots to create space for whiskers. So now I've rolled out some tiny balls of fondant, and we're just going to stick these on the base of the feet just to make them a little bit more pad-like. So just like that. Could do a larger one in the middle if you wanted to as well. And again, just using a little bit of water to stick it together. Like that. And then a little bit of water on the cocktail stick, and we're just going to pop the head on the body. So cut out a darker piece of brown. You're going to cut in a line at the back, and then we're just going to create some lines with the leafing tool. Now I want these to kind of all come round to the same side, so you can see that I'm making it look a bit swishy. It's just to create a little bit of movement. So once you've gone one way, go back over the other way, pulling the fondant in, and that's just going to give a really sort of like a natural finish to the edge of the fondant, where it's not going to be dead straight. It's going to have a little bit of movement in there, and we're just going to stick that on with a little bit of water. Now my modelling paste is quite warm because obviously I've just mixed this colour, so it isn't as stiff as what it normally would be, but just bear with it and just keep making sure that it's where it needs to be. So if you see it dropping down, just push it forward. It shouldn't take too long to firm up. So again, the same process, but this time with the scriber needle, going one way and then the other. And this is just going to go sort of like at the side of the face coming down. So you can see it's a little bit thinner, and it's just going to go there at that side of the face. So chop off what you don't need. Check it for size, and some of that needs to come off. So we're just going to chop a little bit of that off. And then we're just going to push that into place like so. And then we're just going to build up the mane using this same technique over and over again. So brushing the fondant one way and then pulling it back the other. And it's up to you how much you build on this, how thick you want it. You could put in some darker bits of brown. You could put in some lighter bits of brown to give it just a bit of change of colour. And then just wet it with a little bit of water, sticking each piece together. And then because we did that circle at the back, quite a lot of the back of the head is covered with the dark brown anyway. So just sticking on smaller pieces at the side just to make sure that it matches each other. I've gone for quite a big mane for this one. And just making sure to trim it down if it's a little bit too long. So I have got tutorials for some other animals. I've created a playlist for that. So I think I've got a monkey, elephant, a giraffe. Now we've got a lion. I've got quite a few different animals that are really good for if you wanted to do a jungle themed cake or a safari themed cake. And each one is basically the same kind of method with the body, but just changing it up slightly to suit. So we're going to do some ears, so some balls of fondant we're going to teardrop and then just flatten down. And then with the darker brown that we used for the mane, we're going to use that just to go into the middle of the ear, like so. And then with the leafing tool, we're going to press that in to create a bit so we can pinch it together, just make it look more ear-like. A little bit of water to stick these down. So once these are in place, we're then going to just use the leafing tool just to push that in. And then we're just going to build up a bit of area at the front for the fringe. So it's up to you how you place this. I've kept it going up. So just some smaller bits of fondant I'm going to clump together and stick on. Just using the leafing tool or your Dresden tool to push it down. And then I'm just going to keep building until I'm happy with the overall look. Now you could have given her a little bit of a fringe or him a little bit of a fringe and made the fondant come down over the face a little bit. That would have looked quite nice as well. But for this one, I'm just going to keep it all going straight up. So folding that piece at the back there, just a little bit back so that you don't have anything hanging over at the front. So it's like so. So here's the finished cake. I hope you've liked today's tutorial. If you have, please give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to comment down below. And if you subscribe, hit the notification bell so you get notified of more of my tutorials. And if you want to see anything else, please click the links on the screen now. Thanks for watching.